Is there any team out there, though, that after deadline day you feel dramatically different about? Is there any team that you just saw and you're like, wow, this team either did make moves and I feel a lot better about them, or you're sitting there and you're like, how in the world could you not have done something to strengthen your team?
Well, Pittsburgh, I like what they did. They get Patty Marleau, another guy that's hungry, that can play up and down the lineup. And, he's a team-first guy, obviously playing, 22 seasons. He's not a selfish guy. He's a team-first guy. So, and obviously a few weeks ago, they got Jason Zucker, who's a stud, lots of term left, that has found some great chemistry with Sidney Crosby. So, you look at the moves.
Connor Sheary going back there as well.
Connor Sheary knows the system, knows the guys. So
they have a lot of different options. And I think one thing they might try to do is that they've had Jared McCann playing on the wing because they've had so many injuries. And they've had Malkin and Crosby and trying to spot in 4 wingers. But they went out and got between Marleau and Zucker and Connor Sheary. Now they have more options. I think they might put Jared McCann back in the middle and then kind of have that 1-2-3 that they had when they won the Cups when it was Nick Bonino down there in the third line. They kind of haven't had that with Bukestad's injury all year long. So I like what they've done. The guy is just one move. I guess it's 2. But Vegas, I know we love Marc-Andre Fleury. How do you not love him? You love him.
Yeah.
He's not been as good as he has been this year. He's not played well. Vegas is the best team in the Pacific, but they haven't had good goaltending. Robin Lehner is a massive upgrade, and I think that move alone is significant for Vegas and their chances because they'll still play Fleury. He'll get the starts. He'll get the opportunity to go with it first. But we saw what happened in Pittsburgh, was it 3 years ago? Fleury started the playoffs. Matt Murray came in when needed. He took it all the way. It wouldn't stun me if that happened again. I think Robin Lehner's good enough that he can step on that team that's so much better than the Chicago team he was playing for. It surprised me that Vegas went after a goaltender, but I love that move. And then they had traded Cody Eakin up to Winnipeg, so they want Chandler Stevenson to play in the middle. They needed one more third-line winger. In comes Nick Cousins from Montreal. Kind of a low-profile pickup. He's an effective player, plays with some edge. He's put up some goals here and there. Vegas was always scary to the teams in the Pacific. They got scary.
Get Martinez into the mix.
And Martinez on the back end.
He's solid.
And it just feels like the West is there. It's
the Pacific specifically. The road out of the Pacific, the first 2 rounds, you're going to play whoever it's going to be, whether it's Calgary in the first round if you win the Pacific, and then you're going to have to play. Or Nashville.
Scary team that's underachieved the whole year. And if their top guys can get it going.
Talk about a team that's surprising they stood pat. I mean, Nashville, they're so committed to this group to win now, but they didn't do much of anything.
They got Devin Shore and traded Matter when 17.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Nothing impactful guys in their roster. I mean, they're scratching or sitting down in the middle of games. Their best players, Forsberg and Duchesne and Johansson, and I thought, I wonder if they wanted to go bigger and maybe try to mix it up more significantly.
I kind of felt that way about Colorado as well. I mean, it seemed to me that Colorado's a team that can look at the West and be like, we are a team that can easily make it to the Stanley. Not easily, but I mean, we should be thought of as a contender right now to come out of, right? So why not? I mean, you have young talent, and I know they had Nemestikov, and that helps with depth. But I felt like with cap room and with the talent they have right now, they could have gone for it, and they did not.
But where do you go? What do they need the most? I mean, I think what they would have wanted was Chris Kreider.
Yeah.
And once he re-signed, the piece that fit the most was off the board. So do you chase throwing away first-rounders or Bowen Byram or Connor Timmins, one of their top prospects, to get Pajot? No. I'm saying no.
Yeah.
You don't. I think I trust JT Compher just as much as I trusted JG Pajot.
I guess I know, but my thought is they're a lot closer to making it to the Stanley Cup final than, say, the Islanders.
They are, but I think what they're hoping is they can hang in there.
Potentially easier.
They can hang in there and then get bodies back. And so when Kadri's going to come back in 2 or 3 weeks, Rantanen is supposed to come back around the start of the playoffs, start backfilling from their own guys and not rob their. Yeah, if anything, to me, the one thing I thought they might go was go get a goalie as well. With Grubauer, who was playing great out, they gave Francouz the extension. You trust in Pavel Francouz if he gets to the playoffs?
It sounds like you're not.
Well, I mean, I'd like a guy behind him. If Grubauer's not there, I'll trust him. His numbers are great. His numbers have been good in the KHL, in the Olympics. But I'd like a more. Give me Corey Crawford in behind him. Give me Craig Anderson. Give me Robin Lehner in behind him. Robin Lehner would have been a great fit there too, because if it doesn't go well, if Grubauer's not quite healthy, he's hurt his knee, so that would have been a good fit there. But Joe's playing the long game. He has the whole time. Joe Sakic, he's been the GM there.
One other thing. So Tampa Bay, obviously, you have last year where you have a record-setting season, then you're eliminated, swept out of the first round, and now you are the hottest team since Christmas, and everyone has you on their radar, and they're very active, very aggressive at the deadline, but they give up a first-round pick for Barclay Goodrow. When that news came down, and there was plenty of it, but was that one of those where you refreshed a couple of times on the screen? You're like, wait.
Is that verified? Is that a verified account coming with that one?
Yeah. You'd have to scratch your head, right? I mean, and I get that they're all in. So at this point, they're not worried about the picks. And a first-round pick for them, it's going to be
the 31st overall
essentially
pick.
a second-round pick. But do you look at Tampa Bay and say, this is a team that's one Barclay Goodrow away from winning the Stanley Cup?
No, but for me, like you talked about earlier, is you bring in two guys now, Coleman and Goudreau, and two of the guys that have been there the whole year, they're out of the lineup.
Yeah.
And it's guys that have battled hard, guys that are obviously they're good players, right? Do you put Maroon out? How good has he been? He's added that physical element. Do you scratch that guy to put the speed in? So it's tricky when you get like that because then there's everyone's competing for spots, which is a good thing, but you have such a good team, and, why kind of add pieces that you almost have to put in now because it's a first rounder, and, it could kind of screw up with the room a little bit.
And I think it's another idea of the importance of money on this day, because while Barclay Goodrow's had a nice year, played higher in the lineup in San Jose because of Logan Couture's injuries than he otherwise would have, what makes him valuable is the same thing that makes Blake Coleman valuable. They're outperforming their contracts. Barclay Goodrow signed next year at $900. Coleman signed at 1.8. Yep. That's what makes them worth a first rounder. If they were signed for the 3.5 they would deserve, they'd be worth a third rounder. But because they're underpaid, and Tampa will need to sign Cirelli and Sergachev and Chernak, and they won't have enough money. Someone's going to have to leave. That they can get value contracts in, it's even more important. Not even just about this year, but for next year to have guys sign. So, on the surface, like Barclay, first rounder is supposed to be really valuable. And Barclay Goodrow, while I like him as a player and I know him as a guy, he's not a player you would usually associate being worth a first-round pick, no matter where it is in the first round. But the contract, again, same like Blake Coleman, makes it more palatable for Tampa. And they are all in. Stamkos was talking. Dream come true having these guys added to their roster. I think they felt they needed a little bit more jam.
Yeah.
You would from coming out of Columbus last year. I still think the scars of Columbus are affecting what they're doing now.
I think that's fair. But so you look at Tampa Bay and you look at Washington, you look at Pittsburgh, you look at the moves made around the league by some of the top teams, and then you go to Boston, and not just deadline day, but all the moves that they made. Do you have Boston as the team to beat in the NHL after you take into account all the moves that the teams have made throughout the league?
Nope.
No.
No, only, I think they have a...
Do you like
them.
Let's start this.
Well,
do you like the moves they made?
Why I say no is because they're going to have to play Tampa in the second round. And that's a nightmare,
I get that.
right?
It's an easier...
pass
sure.
and all the rest of it. I like their moves. Andre Kasha is a guy who plays out in Anaheim. I don't think a lot of people know about him. He's been hurt a lot. When healthy, and I can't say this enough times, when healthy, he plays 40 games, 50 games, 60 games, 40 games. He's been hurt his entire time in the NHL. But when he's in the lineup, he's a really good 5-on-5 scorer. A very efficient scorer. Doesn't need to play in the power play. He'll get you 20-something goals. Playing in Anaheim, who haven't had, a high-powered offense as of late. The fact he can go into Boston, step right on the second line, David Krejci, Jake DeBrusk. Boston's been searching for a second-line right winger for 3 years. Yep. They went and chased Charlie Coyle, Marcus Johansson last year to fill that role, and they did a good job of it. But now they have a guy who's younger with term. I really, really like him.
If he's actually on the ice.
If he's healthy.
Yes.
I think he'll be a really good fit there.
I like Tuukka Rask hasn't lost at home in regulation all year long.
Oh, that's not bad.
And they're
and they're gonna have home ice.
That good.
Yeah.
And if they have home ice and they can get those wins and lock them in, it's obviously a heavy favorite. And you already guaranteed Tampa Bay in the second round. Look what happened.
I think both those teams beat Toronto or Florida handily.
Well, I think the nice thing about those two teams right in that division, at least competing right now, is that they don't have to worry about playing each other in the first round.
Right. It's not like Colorado,
if you're first
Dallas,
or second,
and St. Louis.
But listen, this is the old Pittsburgh-Washington Capitals thing, where for a few straight years, you wanted to see them in the Eastern Conference Final, but you got them in the second round. It's just the way it went.
Yeah. I could do worse than Boston, Tampa, Wash, Pitt in the second round. This year. Could do a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
If the seedings hold. So
try making predictions on the other side in the West.
I need to know who's going to make the playoffs first. But I know I like what Boston did. It was smart. They freed up some money, get rid of Denton Heinen. They got to re-sign Torrey Krug. So Richie comes in, physical guy, typical Boston player, good defensively, maybe no, not the best hands to produce offensively, but they won't ask him to.
But they got guys that fit, and they wanted a top
Guys that
6
fit.
forward, and they got a top 6 forward
For term.
who I believe you at this point have said, if healthy. If yeah, we'll just make sure that
Yes.
that's
Little
out there.
asterisk.